What is up, my thrifty friends? Tabs here from the Urban Goddess Shop. Welcome back to my channel. Today's video, we are doing part 3 to reseller questions, and they're kind of like hacks and tips and just seller insight from my own personal experience answering questions that you guys ask. There's so many great questions. So excited to jump into these. If you are new to my channel, I'm a Canadian reseller. I'm a mom to 2 girls, a wife. I work part-time in a hospital pharmacy, and I love to sell used clothing. It is my jam here on YouTube, and I share everything about my business, helping you grow a side hustle reselling clothing as well. All right, let's jump into these questions. Oh my gosh, we got like a sourcing question, special requests and live shows, declining, countering offers, how to source trendy items, how to decide what to pay yourself, how to track, how to tell vintage. And the last question is sourcing for spring and summer. There is so much in here. Without further ado, let's get into this. And I have some like sparkle hair showing through. That's actually one of the reasons why I wear a toque often, because I need to get my hair done. And nothing like recording a video will bring out the sparkle in your hair. Okay, so first question, how do you source for less? And I think this is an elusive question everyone wants to know the answer to. Everyone strives to have the lowest cost of goods. I do have a little bit of a different business model for myself. I pay up for items that I'm seeing greater profit on. I also pay for convenience. Because I do this part-time, I'm trying to source as quickly as possible. But for those of you that are looking for more cheap alternatives to sourcing, I think I got you covered today. Also, because this isn't my forte, if you have anything you want to add, please drop down below and share with others. Some of the ways that you can source for less, and I wish all of these I don't currently do, but I would like to start doing in the future. So first one is garage sales. I think in the US, this is a much broader season than what we see here in Canada. Where I live, garage sale season is really only from May till the end of August. It's a very small window where you can go out, go to garage sales, get good pieces. Generally, garage sales have great prices. They're usually pretty low, some not so, but what I see, they're generally pretty low. You also have an opportunity to barter with the person that's holding the garage sale. Community garage sales, those are cool because you can go to so many in a small space, or maybe hitting neighborhoods that are like a little bit more wealthier. You might get some good pieces there. For garage sale advice, what I have gathered watching other resellers on YouTube is that you have to be early, bring cash, lots of low dollar bills or change so that you can make quick deals. Make sure you have lots of like 5s and 10s, just so that you can cut change really quick. And make quick feet, right? You want to get to as many as possible because there's other people doing the exact same thing and you want to get there before them. I do know some people will also plan their trip, like they'll look ahead where are all the garage sales for that week, what is their route, where are they trying to go, maybe there's a certain area they want to go to first and then they'll kind of go to the other ones, but it still takes a little bit of planning. I do think you can get some really good deals at garage sales. Next for sourcing, I would say estate sales. Again, another one I have never done, but I want to go so bad. I just need to prioritize it this summer. I've heard that lots of resellers will talk about going on the last day where they're trying to clear everything out. You can get some really good deals. Personally, I think I would be going at the beginning of the estate sale because I'm trying to get those like really good pieces. I will pay up for good pieces and I may see some good opportunities going earlier. So yeah, I think that would be a fun one. If you have experience going to estate sales, do you have any tips or anything you want to add in, please drop them down below. That was all I could really think of for tips, but check out estate sales. You can go on Facebook. A lot of them are advertised on Facebook, same as garage sales. Next one would be flea markets. This is another thing that I don't have personal experience on. I have been to flea markets. They were before I was reselling and they were in bigger cities. There's not much. I think there's one flea market around Saskatoon in the summer. Maybe I should go check it out this summer, but it's usually on Saturdays and we're always at the lake on Saturdays. I'm never in town on Saturdays. But yeah, I think flea markets are also good. I watch other resellers on YouTube, again, that are using flea markets for sourcing, and you can go to a bunch of different vendors in a really small frame of time. Also, make sure you have lots of bills, low bills, so that you can cut deals, and they're open to bartering. Flea markets are a great place to barter for deals. And then my last tip for smart sourcing or low cost sourcing would be deal days. Basically, you're watching for deals at thrift shops or consignment stores. Sometimes it's like a tag sale, fill the bag sale, really like any type of sale. Follow your local stores on Instagram and Facebook because they're usually posting them there. Also, when you're outsourcing, make sure you're paying attention to signage because a lot of times they're going to post a sale that's coming up soon. Some of them even have calendars where they tell you what's going on for the month, or they'll post their calendar to their Facebook page. Really, it's still going to take a little bit of research, but I think sale days are a really good way to get low cost inventory. If you have anything to add or any other ways to get low cost inventory, family, friends, sometimes you can even get free inventory. I know some people will put ads on Facebook that they will buy bags people are donating off them. Like, there's just so many ways that you can do this, but there is ways to get low cost inventory. I hope this helps you get started on your journey to discovering these, and keep me in the loop. If you are trying these things this summer, please drop down in the comments on any video and keep me in the loop. How's it going? Any advice or tips you have to add? Next question was, how do I handle special requests, bundling extra related to live shows? And oh my gosh, I feel like this is a question I hear often. I've actually addressed it in one of my work with me videos because I probably get at least 2 people a week that reach out to me with questions regarding this. So somehow it has become the norm to add extra to bundles, bundle purchases from multiple shows, make changes. And in my opinion, it is a giant pain in the butt. It has become more popular since I was doing live shows. Like, I'm not really doing them anymore. I was kind of doing them in fall and beginning of winter. And I think it's just like really common now. My advice to you, if you're feeling this way, is to set your show rules at the beginning. You can have like a little, a graphic that's like show rules if you want. And you could put in the description, like, only bundling from this show, you have 1 hour to make changes, da 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 da. So what I would recommend is buyers have 1 hour after the show to add anything from your closet to their bundle. I would not recommend combining items from multiple shows because that's just a headache waiting to happen. Give them a set time frame to make the second purchase, like if they want to add to the bundle that they purchased in the live show, and that they have to purchase that before you will cancel the original order. You could also let them know that if they do not purchase within this time frame, you will just be shipping out the original bundle. And that kind of puts, like, I think setting like time frames is crucial. When I was doing live shows, I told people they have 2 hours to make any changes that they wanted, like adding to it or whatever. I didn't really get too many of them, but yeah, I did have a set time frame because after that, I'm shipping, I'm getting everything ready and then dropping it off right away. Basically, I think as sellers, we just have to stop bending over backwards for marginal sales. And I'm sorry to say it, but that's just my own personal opinion. If you're selling inventory at discount rates, people are already getting a really good deal. So I don't think you should have to bend over backwards, cancel sales, add more for the dollar that you're making. Now, if I was selling designer items or items over $50 in shows, I would probably, do this a little bit differently. I would make bundles, I would make changes. But if your average sale price is like $10 or $15, I probably wouldn't be putting too much energy into all the extra work after, because you're really not getting paid to do that. And it just it increases the hours that you're putting into your show, and it decreases your hourly wage. So something to keep in mind. This may not be the answer you were hoping for. Obviously, I'm not really huge into live shows, and this is just my opinion. So I'm not meaning to offend anyone if you are, allowing these things, but I do think that it's your store. You set the rules, and anything you do is actually considered like an extra. So that's on you. If you choose to do it, that's on you. Okay, next up. Next question is declining versus countering. When to do, what to do. And for this, I always say counter, even if it's 10% below asking price. And if they come up $2, I will sometimes counter, like my last offer. I will banter up to 3 times. And if they're being petty, like $2 increases, I just hit decline and move on. I really don't put much thought into it. Most cases that I experience are from a lowball offer that I accepted and undersold the item. That is 100% true, but definitely don't decline off the bat. That's basically what I want to say. My pro tip is Posh Sidekick has an option set for lowball offers. So basically, if someone lowballs me under 50% of my list price, Sidekick will counter back at 15% off my list price. And it's like a little petty counter back. I know it's petty. I fight petty with petty sometimes, but I like it because I actually don't even have to do it. Most of the time, I don't even know these offers are going out because Posh Sidekick is just doing this for me. And it just takes that emotion out. I don't really get offended by lowball offers anymore because I don't deal with them. My automation deals with them. And I'm really liking that feature. But like on a serious matter, you can set it to whatever you want. You could have it to like 50% lowball offer, 20% counter, whatever you want to do, you can set it to that. I don't play with people that send me below 50% offers. Yeah, I don't deal with it. I don't really care. And if you disagree with me, oh well, that's your business. You run your business how you want. But I think sending an offer to someone more than 50% off what they have it listed at without like even messaging them is kind of rude. Yeah, I think they're shooting their shot and I'm shooting it down. Okay, next question, how to source items that are trendy but not your style. And this is literally what I do. I am a homeless person in public. I do not wear fancy clothes. I do have brand name stuff, but I'm not a fancy clothing wearer. I'm pretty basic. I usually think about my ideal customer, or like, do you know what you have readily available? And then sourcing those things. It's easy because for me, it's easy because my ideal customer, all those brands are available locally. Like I do have pretty good access to those brands. So it's easy for me to say this, but I think your ideal customer should be based on the inventory that you have locally. Maybe your ideal customer is a 55-year-old woman that's close to retirement that loves comfortable clothes and is a coastal grandma, or likes to be outside and relaxing. Like you need to kind of know what their styles are, and you can sell everything and anything. You don't have to have an ideal customer. But I do think when you kind of niche into selling and you niche down into styles that you're picking up and selling, it does make your closet really easy to follow and also easy for people to make bundles in, because most of the time they like multiple items from my closet. So it's easy to create a bundle. And I think for this, you could also, so say there's certain brands that you have available that you're choosing to sell in your closet. I would sign up for their weekly emails. I would go to that brand's website, sign up for their email list, because they're going to give you tons of style and trend information in their weekly emails. What are they selling? What are their consumers going to be looking for? In this instance, I think research is your best friend. Knowledge is power. The more you know, the better you can source and become a better reseller. And just for food for thought, I sell stuff that I don't wear. Like I wouldn't wear 90% of my closet. And not that it's not nice. It's very nice clothing. It's just not my personal style. So I am in that boat. I do source out of my comfort zone and style. And I don't think you have to just pick up items that you love. Because if I just picked up items I love, I think my ASP would drop drastically. Oh man, it would. Yeah, that's probably how I spent the first year of reselling, was just picking up things that I liked. And it was when I started to step out of that I started to make more money, but that's based on my personal style, you know? Okay, next up, how do I decide how much to pay myself versus how much to reinvest in inventory? This is a good question, and it's hard for me to answer because I feel like this is a very personal and individual question, like very individual business models and what your financial situation is, where like is reselling your only job? Are you relying on this to pay your bills? Do you have another job and this is your side hustle? So I'm speaking from my experience. I have another job. I have my real, I don't want to say real job. I have my pharmacy tech job. And I just recently went down to more part-time hours. Up until about 6 months ago, I still worked full-time hours and then resold and did YouTube on top of that. So for me, it was when my business could produce my income in the same amount of time. Like that's kind of like the parameter I set mine at. I think in the beginning, you should be investing your profits back into your business, sourcing better inventory, purchasing the things that you need to run your business. And I think that you should also be putting money aside. So don't quit your day job until you're making enough to cover your cost of goods, your business costs, which I think sometimes you have to wait till the end of the year to figure out what are going to be your business costs. If you're renting it out of your house or you're claiming part of your house expenses, shipping costs, applications that you're using, anything that you've bought for your business. Like there's so many things. Do you have money to pay for all your fees and income tax? Also GST if you're having to pay it. Like there's so many things that come with owning your own business. And I think people are like, well, I gross sold $100,000. Like I'm a 6-figure reseller, but you're not, right? So I know my net is 55% right now. And that's with all my business costs. I am high on the business costs because I've been investing a lot of money back into my business, my YouTube, things like that. But so I would have to sell $200,000 worth of stuff, right, to be a 6-figure reseller take home. And that's a lot of inventory to move for myself at the price point that I'm selling. But I mean, really, it's all relevant to what is your average sale price, what is your profit margins. Like there's just so much information. There's so many things to cover to this. So what I want to say is there's no right or wrong answer, but you can't pull out money until you're making money, right? So you have to have enough money to cover all the costs of running your business plus pay your income tax. After that, you can pull money out. And I think it takes time for people to get to that point where they're actually making money. And I think my best tip for that would be to have a separate bank account for your business, and all money going in and out goes through that bank account so that you can clearly see if that is growing, week after week, month after month, or if you're just kind of breaking even, right? And I found I opened up a separate business account about 1 year after I started reselling, and it really helped me put my finances together and give me like an overall picture, every day. I could see that. So yeah, that's a tough one. And then I guess I should say also, I actually don't really pay myself. Like I don't pay myself an hourly wage. I keep the money in there and I use it for certain expenses. So I pay a couple bills on our mountain cabin. Last year, I pulled out money to buy a downhill mountain bike. I paid to have my exhaust fix on my Jetta TDI. I got a delete kit, which was like a couple $1,000s. So I've pulled out some big chunks of money, but I don't pay myself because I have another job that's, buying groceries, paying bills, supporting us, right? I'm in a unique situation. So this is a very personal question, but make sure you're actually making money before you start paying yourself. That's it. And then I guess know your hourly wage. So this is how, okay. Oh my gosh, this is such a loaded question. Okay. So this is how I figured it out. At the end of the year, when I was done my taxes, this is what I was claiming. This is the income I was claiming. I then calculated how many hours a week I spent on my business times, a month times the year, and calculated my hourly wage. So for me, my hourly wage after my, all my business costs, cost of goods, and platform fees, all that stuff was paid out, was $35 an hour, or was it? It was like between $33 and $36 an hour. I can't remember. I recorded that video back in December. But anyways, I would then have to pay income tax on that, right? But like $35 an hour, I felt like that was a really good wage. I was happy with that. So at that point, I could pull out an hourly wage at $35 an hour if I wanted. But keep in mind, you still have to pay your taxes. So maybe I was paying myself $20 an hour. Calculate your hourly wage. What are you making after all your business costs? And then go from there. Don't forget, you got to pay income tax on the money you make, okay? That's my biggest tip. You have to pay income tax at the end of the year. All right, next question. How do you tell if something is actually vintage? This is a good one. I am not a vintage guru, I promise. Although I sell quite a bit of vintage sweaters, I do not have a huge amount of vintage knowledge, like dating things decades or eras or like stitching or fine details. But a good way that I use to date an item is using Google Lens. Most times it's going to link me to an item that's being sold on another platform, usually Etsy or eBay. And I can find a couple similar items, and Etsy sellers are really good at giving information on items and what decade they are from. So I'll kind of use that as collaborative information and then decide where I think the item is aged from. As well, the more you sell, the more you get used to the tags. Tags look very different 20 years ago, 30 years ago, 40 years ago. So that's doing like repetitive vintage hunting, a little bit of research, and you just kind of get used to it. It becomes easier to identify items knowing them just as vintage and then trying to identify the style or the era. I think if you want to learn more, you can go onto YouTube and do a search for that phrase, like how to tell if something is vintage, and you'll get a ton of vintage sellers that have YouTube videos that help you identify vintage clothing items, and there's probably like a plethora of information. That's what I imagine. I've never Googled it or searched it on YouTube, but I know there's a ton of content out there. And unfortunately, there's not really like just a book that tells you everything, right? It's something that you have to research and find out. Sometimes even just searching the name on the tag. Many brands considered vintage are no longer around or have info that dates certain pieces. Sometimes it's been already documented, the different tags for the different eras of a certain brand, so that can help too. Yeah, I think Google is your best friend, whether it's Google search or Google Lens. You should be able to work out and figure out where an item is from and how old it is. I hope this helps. Like I said, I sell vintage, but I don't consider myself like a vintage expert, and I very much am doing my own research on a lot of items. And there are certain items that I'm like, this is from the 80s, this is from the 90s, more because I grew up in the 80s and the 90s, so I can recognize styles from when I was a kid. But I mean, that's not the be all end all. Sometimes there's recreations as well. But yeah, it just kind of gives you a good idea. All right, next question. Oh gosh, this one I'm scared of. I'm always scared when I see this one. Do I use spreadsheets to track sales, cost of goods, fees, profit, etc.? This is a really good question. So my personal response is I do not. Poshmark does provide a sales report where it'll tell you like what the item sold for, how much you paid in fees. I do put cost of goods as an estimate into the additional information, which will also show up on that report. But as far as like tracking individually, I don't. It doesn't mean that it's right. My accountant has accepted that. Not that it's not right, but he has said what I'm doing I can do. It's probably just not the best way to do tracking. My goal in 2024 is to start tracking better and tracking more individual items. This is probably my biggest weakness, if I'm being honest. I do utilize spreadsheets from my accountant at the end of the year, and we'll spend a few days kind of gathering all the information and entering up my receipts, gathering like my bills and things that I'm going to be claiming as costs. I know I make money week after week because my business continues to grow in the bank account. So I'm not overly concerned in that sense on if my business is profiting. And then also my year-end percentages are good enough for me at this point. Yeah, but I also recently heard Jack Valentine talking about how he uses QuickBooks to track his stuff. And I think it's like a small business thing. I'm going to look into that. I was thinking of kind of going through his videos and seeing if he has a video where he explains it, because I think that will be the route that I take probably starting in the summer. When things start to slow down a little bit, I think I'm going to start slowly tracking inventory and putting it in there. It's just really time consuming. Honestly, tracking is really time consuming. So how I run my business, and this is not tax advice, you need to talk to your accountant, and this is going to be different country to country, state to state, province to province. But how I run my business is tracking money in and out. So I keep track of all my receipts, all my costs, everything that I spend out of my business account. And then I keep track of all the money coming in. I use my sales reports for eBay, Etsy, and Poshmark to help keep track of this. I also keep track of all the extra shippings that I'm doing. I'll just do like an email search, keep track of all those costs. Like I said, I think there's better ways to do it. I just do like cash in, cash out kind of way. And we estimated my inventory value last year of what I was sitting on. So I do work with an accountant, and I trust that what he says is good. So if you have questions about tracking, you can always contact an accountant, and a lot of them have very basic spreadsheets that they will pass on to you that you can use throughout the year that will make their life easier when they do your taxes at the end of the year. Okay. That's kind of taxy. I don't really like talking about tax stuff, but I'm being very transparent right now with how I handle that on my business. So yeah, that is something that I would personally like to work on as well. And then the last question for this video is spring, summer sourcing. What holds value? What am I looking for? And I see summer as a very small window of selling here in Canada, at least, and on Poshmark Canada. I think that you can sell all year round, 100%. And especially if you're on eBay, you could sell all year round. But as far as like Poshmark Canada, I think the summer window is very small. So usually January to March, I'll have like light summer sales. I'll start listing stuff from summer. And then April and July is where I'm really summer focused, looking for all those summer items, getting them listed. Some of the categories that I find bring in the best profit are dresses, shoes, jean shorts, and I'm looking for like denim forum, a Goldie. 1 teaspoon has actually been doing really well for me. I just sold a pair of shorts for like over $50 this week. Light jackets, cardigans, athletic wear, swimsuits and cover-ups, and hiking outdoor stuff. I love hiking gear. So sometimes I make good money, sometimes I don't on it, but it's like a passion thing for me. So I will continue to sell that. I'm sure there's like so many more, and this is going to be biased to my business and my ideal customer and what I'm looking for. But yeah, come August, I am back listing fall and winter items, and I'm back into fall and winter, and I no longer am sourcing summer stuff. If I do source summer stuff come August, I'm putting it away and I'm saving it for next year. Speaking of which, I need to find the summer tote that I put away in fall last year of items that I had been sourcing. But like, if you have anything to add or any categories that you like sourcing for summer that you find bring a good return, please drop them down below and share. There's probably categories that I'm not even thinking of. I am like so specific in what I source and where I go in the store. I'm very efficient with my time. So I'm sure I pass over a lot of things. And yeah, like I said, my opinion a lot of times is biased to my business model, which is not the be all end all. So I love it when you guys chime in, share what you're doing. But yeah, and then I think in summer, another thing, like this is kind of my pro tip, I tend to take it easy. So sales do slow down a little bit in July and August. I think people just aren't on their phone as much. They're enjoying their time outside. They're with family on weekends. They're having fires and outdoor parties and just things going on. So I try and utilize that time for myself and take more time off and spend more time with my family, and maybe just do more like behind the scenes prep work for my fall and winter selling. So yeah, those are my tips. Those are my insights. These are such good questions. I was so excited to sit down and start working on them. If there's any questions that you want me to address in a future video, drop them down below and I will put them on the document for next time. Other than that, I hope this helps you in your reselling business. If this brings you value, make sure to give me a thumbs up and tap subscribe on the way out. Thank you for watching. I am wishing you guys all many sales, and I'll see you next time. Bye.